All right.
All right, we're now joined by Kelly Nichols from LA Guns. How are you today?
Hey, good morning, Jay.
Oh, it's all good, man. Crawl is the new single. We're going to get to the new album and all that. But let's give our listeners a little background. I understand you were born on the East Coast. How did you get into music and end up in LA in the 80s?
Oh, man. Okay. Well, I wanted to be a motorcycle racer. And did that a lot when I lived in Georgia for a number of years, and moved to New York. And within a few weeks, both of my motorcycles were stolen. Our station wagon with our trailer was stolen, so I had to figure out something else to do. And my brother played guitar already, and we had a friend with a basement and a drum kit, and they put me on the bass. And just kind of started from there. Just started learning and practicing, and learning more about music and touring and all that stuff. And I liked it. I liked the idea of it and everything. So ended up doing that. Then I wrote it for a few years, and then I went to LA in '84, and then I moved there permanently in '86, and started looking for bands. And I was in a few bands on the East Coast too, but mostly I felt the vibe was in LA, so I went there and eventually met Tracy and Mick, and we started jamming together, and got Phil to come in, and then Steve, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, good timing, man. You were in the right spot at the right time. Now, growing up, who were like your biggest influences? Who was like the first arena show or album you bought? Who were your favorites?
Well, I heard the Rolling Stones when I was in Paris. I was 14, and I was in the record store in Paris, and they played Angie. And I asked the guy, it's like, who is that, man? And he said, oh, it's the Rolling Stones, man. So I immediately got into the Stones, and then I got into Aerosmith and Kiss and Sabbath, and kind of grew from there.
Now, when you first came out to visit in LA, you just felt the vibe, basically, like the weather and the scene, and decided to get it all packed up, and move out.
Yeah, well, when we came out, we had such a great time, and the palm trees were all nice and shiny, and it just seemed like when I was on the East Coast, like freezing, and just always cold or waiting for summer, and I'm watching Baywatch, and I'm like, why aren't I there? It's always nice and sunny there, and people got the top down on the cars and motorcycles. You can ride all the time. So, yeah, we went out in '84. We had a great time. Went with my best friend, Mike Pont, and came back and took care of the business I had to do and whatever I had. And then I moved out in '86 and just started slumming it.
Well, I knew you were in Faster Pussycat with Tammy for a minute, but I know there was an infamous motorcycle accident on Sunset. Tell us how that happened and changed the course.
Oh, man, okay, so that was we just got a record deal that night with Faster Pussycat. We signed to Elektra Records that night, and we were we had a little party at our manager, Vicky Hamilton's house, and I was on my motorcycle. I had one beer, and we decided to go and start rehearsing a little bit, and rehearsal was not far from her house. So on the way to rehearsal, somebody made a left turn in front of me at an intersection, and I clipped their bumper with my leg and some of the motorcycle. So I just went flying, and I ended up being in the hospital for almost 3 months, 10 surgeries, and they, since they had the record deal, they had to get busy, so they had Eric Stacey replaced me, and they all came to the hospital and told me what was happening, and I understood because I wasn't going anywhere for a while. So, I mean, my whole left side was scraped up, strawberried out, and my leg was like shattered in 7 pieces. So I was a mess. I wasn't going anywhere for a while. So and then Eric Stacy came to visit me on his own, and we had a good chat. It was cool, and I love those guys. I talked to Tammy like a few weeks ago. We shared an incredible experience that night. He was right there with me. He was like covered in blood. He was holding my leg together and trying to keep me calm and everything. And so it was a disaster scene. But I managed to save it somehow, and eventually got home and got a call from Tracy while I was back home visiting my parents. And I got home one day, and my mom said, "This guy Tracy from LA called," and I was like, "Oh, that's it. I'm sure he wants me to be an LA guy." So I called him up, and sure enough, he's like, and I said, "Dude, I got a cast up to my ass," and he said, "Don't worry, you'll heal." And so I took the next plane out the next day or so, flew back out to LA with a full cast up to my ass, and started rehearsing and joined the band.
Well, again, I know the mid '80s were such a vital time out here. Obviously, Motley Crue and Rat and Guns N' Roses was gearing up. I mean, such a vital time. What are your favorite memories of that time? I know the first album you did a lot of recording at the Village Recorder, and you guys used some of the biggest studios in town. What's your fondest memories of the early days?
It was just an incredible time because we had no money, like nobody had any money, so it was really, you really had to want it, and the vibe was good in the 80s. It didn't seem as complicated as this today. No real terrorism, or viruses to speak of, and the economy was good, so people were going out, and people were having a good time. The energy was good. It was very productive time, and just grateful to be a part of it. To be able to be in that little time capsule. That it is, but. It was a lot of fun. You could hang out all night. You could just, you could go wherever you wanted. Like nobody hassled you. It was cool, man. We had no money, but we still made it work. We were young and we were fearless, and we had dreams. And if you really wanted it, and you could suffer a little bit, being hungry and sleeping at the beach and sleeping on benches and sleeping in empty buildings, sleeping at construction sites. We had to you had to roughen the boot. You had to pay some dues, but it was okay because we were young and it was what we wanted to do, and it just seemed like that was the process for us anyway.
Well, I know signing to Polygram, they wanted to keep you guys on the road every time you had a new album out. You guys did tours with AC/DC and Iron Maiden, Def Leppard. What was your favorite tour? What was the headliner that cheered you guys the most, or you enjoyed watching every night?
Well, I'll say that most of the bands we played with, like, the bigger the bands, the nicer they were, like AC/DC and Cheap Trick and Def Leppard, Super, always nice. I'm going to say that the best tour was actually, being from the East Coast, growing up on the East Coast a lot, was to play Madison Square Garden with AC/DC was, like one of the greatest nights of my life because I always loved the band. I saw AC/DC with Bon Scott open up for Ted Nugent at Madison Square Garden. So to come around and to be able to open up for them at Madison Square Garden, that was really a highlight. And they were really nice, and gave us extra lights, extra room on stage. We toured with them twice, and just a lot of fun, a lot of good energy, and everybody having a good time back then.
Well, yeah, I'm sure seeing your name on that marquee at Madison Square Garden was definitely a highlight.
I used to take I used to go through the train station underneath Penn Station. I used to carry bases uptown, downtown, going on auditions, and just slugging these bases. And then at the street level of Madison Square Garden, there was this little kind of little kiosk thing, but it had big posters of like events that they have at Madison Square Garden. So they had a basketball dude. They had, some other acts and stuff, but they had this poster of Ace Frehley. And Ace was, leaning back while his pickups were smoking, and it was a good-sized poster. I used to always go by and see that poster of Ace Frehley. I was like, maybe, someday. It was just a real, a kind of a goal to play there as soon as I started. I think I used to write in people's yearbooks, see you at the Garden, and, it's a long way there, but everybody goes in the same way. So, when Zeppelin went in there for Song Remains the Same, it's the same. Everybody drives up the same path to get to the dressing room. So Elvis, Sinatra, it's like, that was really an incredible, place to stand on that stage where, these legends have stood. That was a dream come true. So I was going to say that's like one of my favorite nights forever.
Yeah, watching the footage of Led Zeppelin come up that back way to the Song Remains the Same in the movie. I'm sure that's the hallowed halls right there. Now I know
that's, everybody does it, so everybody's gone the same way.
That's
it. Who's played there has to go up the same way. I'm pretty sure. So that's it. It's like, wow, this is insane.
It's just like the Forum out here. They put all the names of the acts that have played there. There's one tunnel coming in, and it's hallowed halls. Now I know life changed. With Ballad of Jane. What was it like when you guys started getting recognized? With all the MTV play and all that. How did that boost the band?
Well, it definitely, it was a legitimate top 40 hit, so that really puts you in another category, kind of, and it really, that's when moms start knowing about you, and that's when, people who go to work start knowing about you. That's when you kind of branch out of the core fans, when you start attracting other people who might not listen to you. And, never really thought of how important a top 40 hit is, or a hit period is, but, it's important for whatever reason, as far as, if you want to, your success and stuff, but, you're reaching something, you're reaching a broader audience, and, you're meeting other people who you might not necessarily be running into. So it definitely, helps everybody to have a hit single. So, we were just, fortunate to have one, and but definitely it puts you on the map, so to speak. It puts you on the map. You got a legitimate hit, man. There's a lot of songs being written every day, and to have 40 of them, to be in the top 40 of them is pretty crazy. So we just got really lucky with that one, and looking for another one.
Yeah, it's like in sports, trying to be in the top 10 in the NFL or the NBA. It's heavy competition.
Yeah, it's heavy competition. There's a lot of good, music out there all the time, and somebody new pops up, and and then they're amazing, and then they take away from your shit, but it's all right. You just keep doing what you're doing.
Well, I know when you guys had that hit, you toured with Cheap Trick. They had the Flame out. You guys did the big college tour. I know you guys had a lot of respect for Robin Zander and Rick Nielsen. What can you say about those guys? Obviously, their talent speaks for itself, but the guys off the stage, what kind of people are they?
Super nice, easy going, man. And we hung out with Rob, partied with Robin a few nights there, but every night, every day, Robin at sound check the next day, just sang like a nightingale. So, excuse me, tons of respect for them. They were just super nice. I think that Tom Peterson, though, he gave away one of my basses one night. So I had mixed emotions with him. And, we got it back, but they came and told me that some girl had my bass, and she said that Tom gave it to her. And so luckily they caught her before she managed to take off. But, they was probably just fucking with me. So it's okay. It's okay. We got it back.
Yeah, well, I know quite a history, all the great producers, Tom Werman, Dwayne Barron, all the studios, Conway, Music Grinder, and I know it came to a head about 95 where you had to kind of bail out for a while. Was it just, it wasn't fun anymore, or just too much pressure?
Well, like Phil had left by then, so Rick had gone, and then Phil had gone, and then I wasn't really digging the direction we were going. I think Tracy wanted to be more of a Pantera style at that time, and it was like getting kind of grungy and super heavy, and it's cool, but it's not my thing too much. So I felt like it had run its course, and then you had Nirvana, and everybody cutting their hair and changing their clothes, and fashion changed, and music changed, and style changed all at the same time. With Nirvana, they turned everything upside down, and rightfully so, it happens. And so, I just felt like it had run its course, but now I feel like everybody's doing whatever. It doesn't even matter today. I think everybody's out now, but we kind of disappeared. I thought it was time to disappear, and then I started. I had a kid and a stepdaughter, and I wanted to raise them, and I didn't really want to be on tour and not be there for them. So I kind of just focused on other things and did other projects. Got Montauk Salvage going, and just try to stay busy and try to stay creative.
Yeah, well, obviously, losing the singer, losing the record deal, the stock is going down. It's time to try and find a fresh feeling. Now, obviously, you've been in and out of the band, but now you guys have the new unit. Talk about our guy Steve O'Reilly. What is it about Steve that you had the confidence and join forces with him on a new venture?
Well, Steve's done every show since that first record came out, and was made an equal member, and has always been the rock in the band, always taking care of the business, always doing the dirty work, and always got along well with Steve. Never had a problem with Steve. Loved playing with Steve. I think musically we're a pretty good rhythm section together, but the timing was right. My youngest daughter went off to college, so I had some time now to pursue it. And he called me up and told me what was happening with the guys at M3. Asked him to put a version of the band together to come play this festival because it's the right thing to do. It's that genre of music with that crowd, and that they wanted us there. So he asked me if I wanted to do it, and there was a different guitar player and singer attached to the project at the very beginning, and they both dropped out for their reasons. So, I was a little nervous, but I think it all worked out really well in the end, and the unit right now is super tight. Everybody's on the same page. It was an incredible experience making the record, really good camaraderie, very cooperative, everybody open to any suggestions, just throwing them out. And, I had 7 days to do it, 2 days of pre-production, so 2 days of jamming together. I haven't seen them in months, but we got to learn the songs and make sure everything was tight and everybody's, dedicated. And we're doing, M3 was fourth time I ever met the singer. We jammed 2 days before, 2 days, like a month before M3. We didn't get a sound check. So we all have to do our best. We all live in different states, so it makes it tough to, you can't just sit there and jam all night and, and get it. So everybody has to learn the songs and know what they're doing. And, everybody's dedicated and really into it, and I think it's really good.
Well, tell us about Kurt Froelich, the new singer. What playing that M3 gig? What gave you the confidence that he was the guy, and you could continue forward and make an album with him?
Well, he, first time I met him, and we were talking. Easy fellow to get along with, and really we worked on a few things, and just. We really liked his voice. I think he's got an easy to listen to voice. I don't think you have to really be into a certain kind of voice, but I think he could just reach a broad audience. And he was a fan, so he knew some of the material already. He's an amazing guitar player, and he's dedicated. So it was actually really easy. And, Scott Griffin, he played in the band before, so him and Steve got along. They knew each other, but nobody knew that he could shred like that. So, I know that Crawl doesn't have a lead solo, but every other song does. So you'll get to hear some of that on the rest of the record. But just really easy. I mean, once we all got in the same room, no attitude, really, just moving ahead. Let's do this, man. Let's make some good music and have some fun. And so, enjoyable from the beginning.
Yeah. So the new album, Renegades, how did the songs come together? I know you always had a lot of credits with Guns. You sang lead vocals on Nothing Better to Do back in the day. What kind of input did you have in, writing these songs, or how did the songs come together?
Well, since we all do live in different states, once we got the record deal from Golden Robot Records, they wanted to do the record pretty quickly, so we had to figure out like how we're going to make this work. So I didn't want to just put out a record because we got a record deal. I wanted to make sure that we could do a good record, because I don't want to. There's no point in spending all this time and effort if it's going to suck or it's not the right thing. So we all started just. I wrote 3 songs, and then everybody wrote a few and handed them in, and we listened to them and we worked on them, and we picked the best ones that we had, and we once we had the set list down for those 10 songs, we just really worked on them and stuff, and then we added bits, and everybody added little bits and tasty parts to them, and everybody was real open with suggestions and ideas. So and then we just really learned them. 2 days of rehearsing them, and then right into the studio to record them. So everybody had to do their homework. We don't have that luxury of 3 months of pre-production and 2 months in the studio. Those days are gone. Those big budgets are gone. So it's guerrilla warfare time. But everybody really wants to be in the band and really enjoys what's happening, and the feedback has been phenomenal. So we're just trying to have a good time.
What part of LA did you record in? Where was the studio at?
We rehearsed at Mates, and we recorded at, oh my God, I can never remember the name of the place. Stagg Street.
Oh, out in Van Nuys?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
And, we had a great engineer who did the whole thing, this guy Jun, and I can't pronounce his last name, but he's a super nice, mellow cat. And he knew his stuff. He knew where to punch in. I mean, he knew everything. He knew every part of the song. So I was like, hey, let's go back to that first verse after that part, and I want to punch that in. He could go right there. He knew what he was doing. So we didn't waste time. We had a super tight engineer. So, and then we all just put in suggestions and put it together.
Well, I know obviously it's the controversy, coming back. It's not the first time there's 2 LA Guns. I know you had some trepidation asking Steve if he wanted to change the name, but what gives you the confidence to feel that this is a legitimate LA Guns, and that this album will put it to rest, that this is no tribute band, this is the real deal? And obviously you and Steve make up half of the classic lineup, and Scott being in the band with Phil and Tracy for a while.
Well, I don't know if we'll ever win that debate, because, I mean, we get it. I get why other people like Phil and Tracy, and that's fine, But Phil and Tracy didn't want us in the reunion. They didn't invite Mick. They didn't invite me. And Phil had just left Steve. So, are we supposed to just stay home? Or, but legally we have a right. Steve owns 50% of the name, and he's the only one who never quit. So I feel, I wrote Ballad of Jane. It was Mick, so I feel, the songwriting, I feel like we've earned our share of, the success LA Guns had. I feel like we were an integral part of it, as equal as everybody else. So we totally feel that we have the right to do this. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. We're all getting up there. We're all getting in the age, and they really didn't give us much of a choice. So
No, I understand. You just want to rock, and you want to give the people some good music.
You have your own party. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I understand. Now, Kelly, obviously you've been through a lot. You've seen a lot of guys come and go. A lot of people no longer with us. What advice can you give youngsters coming up? I know it's a whole different industry, it's a different world, especially the one we're in today. But what are some of the life lessons? What can you impart on creative people coming up, to maybe steer them in the right direction?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you got to follow your dream, and if you really think that's something you want to do, that nothing else matters. But try to do it for the right reasons because you enjoy the music, and you're not just waiting for the benzo and stuff like that. Try to keep your interest pure and your drive and your goals pure. Do it for the music because you want to create, because you have something to say, and don't take it too serious. It's hard to show people songs, in the band when you write a song and you're opening yourself up, and you have to get used to that and being able to take criticism. And, God knows we get a lot of criticism, man, but we get it, but there's nothing I can do about it, It is what it is at this point, but just try to do it for the love,
Absolutely. Do it for the passion. Well, Kelly Nichols is the man, LA Guns is the band, Crawl is the single, and Renegades is the album. Kelly, always great to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining us. Can't wait to see you guys perform this live.
All right, Jay. Thanks so much for the time, man. Stay well, brother.